Alright. What up, guys? We're gonna just do, people be funding Monero as fuck, of course, and Zcash, yeah, because Zcash has got a corporate shill. So we're gonna actually kind of discuss some note-wise Monero, its importance, and I don't want to. People are so fudding ad nauseum. It's been around a while. It's been around since 2014, but I don't know. YouTube.com. This is a really good series I recommend people to watch. Breaking Monero is great. I'm like going through it. It's still got some weight to it. But pretty much right now, in contrast, is there a point of using it on Brave? No, in my opinion, because the problem is when you add extensions, it fingerprints you. Because it's different. Everyone's going to have a different browsing habit and different browsing experience. I mean, this is collectively an understandable thing that people will argue about on the internet, but when you step back and do Occam's razor, or you add a little logic to it, when you look at it, the more extensions you add, the more fingerprintable you will become because you have different browsing habits. Me doing this is very unique. This is a really easy way to explain browsing habits. The way I type is very unique. So this is a good example. So what do you call it? I believe KickSecure does this. And if there's a KickSecure person in that ever comes across this video and you need to correct me, please do. KickSecure has a way, and Hunix has a way, the way you type looks the same to everyone else. Their typing speed is all matched. Think about that. Because if I type like this, and I do it all the time, somebody can eventually observe this as an identifier. That's how you have to think about fingerprinting. It's so fine-tuned. It's minute details. And these advertisers, this is all automated. Like, this is all ad collection looks, computers are 24/7. So these when we switch to a contextual-based ad system, post, I think it was like post 2013. 2013 is when Google went to this. Advertisers have realized, what can we use that gives us the most information? Computers, screen resolution, the way people type, the words you use. If I type like, how are you? That's unique. Only a subset amount of people will do this. And it's not hard to find this. When you're typing on websites, you're giving a lot of information. This is why JavaScript notoriously needs to be disabled when you use Tor, because it collects an ungodly amount of information. Most websites could operate without JavaScript. JavaScript just makes everything good looking. We've done it before. So that's why, like, a lot of, if you want to know if a website is honeypot or something, turn off JavaScript. Because on Tor, it should work. If it breaks, that means there's JavaScript there. And there is something called hidden ads. So right here on this box, it gets a little schizophrenic here. Say this box right here. There could be an ad right here, and I would never know. There could be an ad across this website. There could be sound playing, a sound, audio right now playing on this ad, on here, and collecting information, whatever. There could be an ad playing here, and I would never know. I'm not a web developer, so for all I know, Like when you go to console, source, network, like where's my information being sent? I could catch the network information, etc., etc. Just saying. Not only there could be an ad here and sound playing in the background, there also could be malware sitting there. It's you don't really know what you're using. So when you add, back to the main point, when you add this, you are entrusting, and I'm not trying to take this out of context, you are trusting them and the permission that you are giving it to it. Monitor extension usage and manage themes. This makes sense. Read and modify privacy settings. All right. Access browser tabs. Okay. Access browser activity during navigation. Okay. Access data for all websites. You're now entrusting this extension and Daniel Howie to never be compromised, to maintain security of this ad blocking scheme, the security of it, and the keys and anything that's pushed to it. You're entrusting him. You're entrusting this person. I use ViewBlock Origin because it's been used for it's relatively the most vetted and most used extension, and that's the only one I really use, and it's really only on Firefox. Other than that, I just use Brave's built-in ad blocker. I adjust Brave to just block ads, and I added one extra extension to it. I have Dark Reader because some stuff just doesn't work in dark. It doesn't have dark mode, and I will be fucked before I do that. And I run my own bookmark server, so I put everything in my bookmark server because I don't like cookies, so I bookmark everything if I want to read it later. I don't trust Brave to handle my bookmarks. It doesn't need access to my bookmarks. I don't trust a third party with my bookmarks because that could be, in my opinion, considered too much information giving it to them. So I bookmark everything myself. But I don't think there's a reason. I think if everyone used Brave, it would be better. Not saying that Brave's the best, but if everyone used Brave because it does blocking by default, it would be better. It would be more efficient. It blocks more ads. I mean, there's even, you can go down to Brave's settings. Hold on. Right here. Sam, please explain running your own bookmark server, please. Of course. I love Dark Reader. I don't really know about them. C plus B, C plus Bear. Yeah, I found out Monero is written in C++, guys. I'm angry now. I'll explain that in a second. But if you want to fine-tune Brave, you really can. So you can go to your setting. What was my history? Settings, not history. Shields, privacy, and security. You can fine-tune Brave. So you can, there's even filters you can use. I think it's filters. Sam Bent told me about this. Content filtering. So you can do easy cookie list. Don't worry, I'll rewrite more Monero and C. That would be based, actually. And you can show the full list. You can, like, if you don't want to go on if you don't want YouTube mobile recommendations, you can actually filter all this out and it will ignore it. You can do AdGuard URL tracking protection to remove any ad trackers from stuff. You can do this yourself, but you can do AdGuard Spanish Portuguese. You can filter. You could really adjust Brave to your liking. This increases your fingerprintability because this is unique to a certain degree because you're uniquely removing stuff. So if there's a way that they could tap on the wire that's like, oh, this browser doesn't get this specific ad, XYZ, you could potentially be fingerprinting yourself more, but it's more of a distraction thing. Just like a VPN. Just like a DNS filter or anything, etc. But I run my own bookmark server is because when you sync bookmark, even if it's encrypted or whatever, if you give access to Brave to your bookmark, they could potentially take that and use that. You don't know where they put in that information. It could be manipulated. It could be used for advertising purposes for all I know. I'm not entirely sure. I just don't trust anyone with my bookmarks. So I run this. It's an extension that's self-hosted. This is all self-hosted. And they have an extension. It's actually, there's tons of self-hosted bookmark servers out there. But I use LinkedIn. Don't know why it's called that. But it's called LinkedIn. It's awesome. I love it. It's very clean. It's very simple to set up. It's very user-friendly. It's very resourceless. It's obviously a bookmark server. But it's clean looking. It's very simple, very clean, easy. It looks clean, and you can add tags to it, and you can add notes and descriptions and etc. I love it. I've been running it for a long time. If I were to say, if someone asked me what are my top 3 self-hosted services that I use the most, it's bookmarking, because I forget to. I don't want 500 tabs open. It's bookmarking. My music server, Brave overlay on Gen 2, still hasn't updated in about 8.10. Yeah, I haven't updated. Okay, Brave finally updated. It's been a minute. It didn't update for a little bit, but that was a Gen 2 issue. A Void issue. 1.8.12 is the latest on Gen 2 overlay, as far as I know. RIP. So that's the reason I run a bookmark server, is because I want my bookmarks to. And here's the good part. So I used to distro hop a ton. I'm talking about a lot, and I hated. I'm like, what is the name of that fucking self-hosted server they have? What is the name of that website that I'm using? Like, why can't I remember 192 blah 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 blah? I don't need to do that anymore. It's bookmarked. I remember where my bookmark server is because I go to it enough. But I could delete my entire system, and just like my laptop, I can distro hop 30 times and just go straight to my bookmark server, and then I have all the websites I need to go to. Much easier. Way easier. It's super underrated. And you don't got to trust anyone. It's all self-hosted. But ad nauseum seems seems interesting, but I don't know. I'm skeptic. I saw Louis Rossmann promote it. But what if this ends up being like a shitty fucking ad extension that ends up not doing good? I don't know. It's just a trust thing. But Monero-wise, we're going to go back to Monero. So I heard something interesting about Monero that I can't spell. Plausible deniability. Okay, I can. Professor Emmanuel on YouTube does C plus C in math tutorials. There's this one guy that I kind of think is cool. What is it? C NSA. This one, Dr. Jonas Birch, he apparently does a lot of C projects. I do want to check out his content like when I get some time. Apparently he explains it really, really well. He's very highly regarded. 8 hours of C projects. And he gives us all for free. Coding a GUI in C in 11 hours. Learn C programming in 7 hours. Advanced course. He's been doing lots. He does lots of C stuff, which is very based. Doesn't actually do C++ videos. Good. I'm a C++ hater. Like coding a file system in C is kind of cool. I don't know why it looks like I watched it. I didn't. Coding a disk emulator in C. Rasa. Hunting for the Intel backdoor. Coding your own calling. Like this guy does a lot of stuff. I've heard very good things about his class. So something that I did not think about, the difference between Zcash and Monero. So we gotta look at Zcash transaction shielding, transaction trust view. So this is a trust. Zcash trust view philosophy centers on the balance between privacy and verifiability, acknowledging that users must place trust in a certain foundational elements while providing mechanisms to verify and control information. The initial launch of Zcash relied on a trusted setup process where a master public key was generated through multiple party computations involving 6 participants, and the security of the process depends on the assumption that at least one participant was honest and destroyed the portion of their toxic waste, aka data. This is Zcash's core principle. Monero's philosophy is trust no one. And we're gonna watch a quick video on this.
In a transaction, you need to have enough funds in the combined outputs you're spending in order to make the transaction balance. So
Nope. Wrong one. Monero means money. Cryptocurrency 101. 1. I think it's 1.
Well, everyone, and finance that trusted third parties are removed from the situation. Like that cash transaction I mentioned earlier, beneficial for you all. Any last remarks? Yeah.
Here it is.
Great. There's one last point I want to make out.
This is a very good way to think about it. And then we're going to look at one other part of the video where we talk about plausible deniability. So plausible deniability is one of the core foundations of privacy and security, if you think about it. If I can, and this is something you learn in the Darknet Market Bible, is plausible deniability. This is why you use your public address. So just, as a memo note, plausible deniability means a very simple thing. It's possible you can deny this. Like there's no concrete proof that this is yours. So when you look at plausible deniability. I was tired before the stream, and now I'm tired. I will go now. See, nice based. That's because you didn't drink enough coffee. I guess we go into bitch sleeping hours. I'm just kidding. I hope you sleep well. Plausible deniability is a social tactic that allows people to deny knowledge, participation, or an active role in carrying out activity, relying on a loaded message. The deniability exists due to the lack of culpable evidence, or more commonly, a form of multiple plausible interpretations of the present evidence. So that is something to keep in the back of your head. Put this in the back of your pocket while we discuss this. So it is possible that you can deny this, lack of evidence, not knowing how to spell. So that's why, like when you go to court or anything, you you want such lack of evidence that you have plausible deniability, et cetera, et cetera. And because you have plausible deniability, it kind of gives it like, oh, this could possibly be it. But that's when we're going to go over transactions and ring signatures. I finally kind of understand ring signatures after rewatching Breaking Monero. I'm gonna rewatch it again and again. I highly recommend people to watch it, or maybe like shortened versions of like how ring signatures work, because ring signatures kind of are the core fundamental value that Monero comes from. It's not the only value, but it's one of the core principles, something to think about. But we're gonna listen to this part first. I'm gonna stop yapping. Before I the fuck? Before I do, no, you guys can just watch it.
There is one last point I would like to make. You said a moment ago that everybody on the Monero team thinks of Monero as the best option right now for privacy-preserving technology. And I do want to point out that there are a lot of good options for privacy-preserving technology in the cryptocurrency space. They all each stem from a totally different design philosophy. So, for example, Zcash uses a trusted setup, and if you trust that setup, then their privacy is fantastic if you stay in the shielded pool and you don't do anything silly like giving away your wallet information. Then Zcash is great. But Monero has this design philosophy that is inherited from CryptoNote and inherited from Bitcoin, that we should try to avoid trusted setups at all costs. Personally, I think Monero is the best option.
And I agree, because the thing is, if you trust the source, I'm going to just pause here for a second. If you trust the source, then you kind of lose the deniability part. And if you lose the deniability part, you essentially lose a core functionality of privacy. Might be the coffee having a crash, I think. What the fuck? Who be drinking coffee and getting sleep eepies? So when you lose the plausible deniability factor, if I go into something and I know, like, say I'm Bob, and Bob is like, and I buy $100 worth of Monero, but there is a mounting of evidence of non-deniability where it's not even possible, where maybe like my wallet name is attached to a lot of identifiers, or like they're like, is this your address? Is this your output address? Oh, it is. Oh, we know this is your wallet then. And they have a better analogy of way to say it. It's kind of like, so you take a piece of paper and you write the word 12 on it, and they tell you to pick a number between 12 and 15. And they ask, like, is your number 12? You just take and eat the paper. You didn't admit to anything, did you? No, you just ate the paper. You just didn't want them to know. And you can walk away. That's what Monero kind of allows you to do. They're like, most people would come to the conclusion, oh, he's hiding something, but not really. I mean, I just ate the paper. I was hungry, and it's vegan. So just something to think about.
Relying on privacy to me isn't as important as lacking a trusted setup, because one of the things that cryptocurrencies bring to the world is this algorithmic finance that trusted third parties are removed from the situation. Like that cash transaction I mentioned earlier of two people handing off $20 bill. No trusted third party there.
Yeah, that is pretty based. Corey from Slipknot is based for gagging in his words on the song Windows. He couldn't take Windows anymore, so he gagged. What if Corey from Slipknot was a Linux user?
And so, even though the design philosophies of these different teams vary, the technology that comes with it, as long as you're willing to assume the threat model of the Zcash situation, that the trusted setup was not violated, Zcash is great. Just like if you're willing to take on the threat model of Monero, where discussing more in this series.
And obviously, Monero isn't perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. And you're going to have some level of trust that there is no backdoors in Monero, that its privacy is actually implemented correctly, and it's going through extensive review. This is why when people are tripping about the FMCP or plus is taking too long, they want to make sure it's implemented correctly and it doesn't de-anonymize people. I think that is a responsible thing to do, and I think people need to get off their fucking it needs to be released tomorrow type of shit and realize that in current 2025, the ring signatures is at 16. That's pretty good. I think that's probably as long as you run, and you should run your own node anyways. Like you should. Oh my God, Zcash is $500. Yeah, people saying that is. Let's see. While you guys watch this moment.
Monero's better. So really it depends on what your personal level of risk tolerance is, what you're willing to trust and what you're not willing to trust. And so anyway, I just wanted to point that out. And I guess to kind of follow along with that, as you presumably go and examine, alternatives to Monero, or things that Monero is based on, or things that are based on Monero, or just other projects that are trying to do the same kind of thing. I think going to those and asking for the same kind of analysis should be absolutely expected. Any project, any cryptographic project that is worth its salt should be doing this analysis internally already. Whether or not they tell you about it is a different thing. So, the Zcash team, for example, does analysis of their projects, and as Brendan had said, there are trade-offs and limitations with that scheme. There are trade-offs and limitations to Monero's as well. So, doing this kind of analysis out in the open, I think, speaks both to the strength of Monero and the fact that we do have trust in it, but also that an open dialogue about it is important to engender that trust. So, if you see us doing it, you should demand that your other favorite projects, or least favorite projects, do the exact same thing. And if they won't, that's a little skeptical. All right, thank you both, Sarang and Saray, for joining us here on our first episode of Breaking Monero. Again, we'll be having other episodes coming out in the near future.
See you for this time. Later. Guys, no, I could have bought Zcash at $38 last year. I don't give a fuck. And it's not copium. The problem is Zcash is privacy, optional privacy. I don't like the idea of optional privacy. There's one more section in this one, episode 2, that talks about the ring signatures. Nope, sorry. So this little section that's, I think, like, this is like 5 minutes, and I'm going to try to be charitable, have some input. I don't like fucking reactions, content stealers. But this is the plausible deniability that people should understand, and definitely watch this entire series and give some love to the Monero Community Workgroup. Because I think it is important. Optional privacy, in my opinion, has way too much leverage to be broken, mistrusted, misused, and it has a huge responsibility of mistakes being made. Monero's biggest mistakes that you can make with Monero is somewhat due to really bad OPSEC. Not running your own node, which is always going to be emphasized to everybody. Run your own node. Then I think a big chunk of the worries go. The big chunk of problems go away, and because people they're afraid to, I guess, run their own node for whatever reason because they think it's technically unfeasible. Umbrel has an option to literally click and install and run your own node. There are people that have scripts that you can write to run your own node. If you use the Monero GUI wallet, you can run your own node. There's too many options that are way too simple now, that are dummy proof to run your own node. There's no excuse in 2025 to not run your own node. This is the point of self-sovereign and having some form of digital ownership of over your financial situation, XYZ.
About later and in future episodes, I would say they're kind of the pain points, the sticking point for issues that people have with Monero, and one of the things that we've had to deal with iteratively over time in order to strengthen them. So in this episode, like we said, we're going to kind of go over just a very brief overview of kind of the structure of how they work. We won't go into the mathematics. There are definitely good resources if you're really interested in that. But we're going to talk a bit about their structure and kind of lead into later on why that structure can lead to some problems. To kind of start out with, the sky is not falling, ring signatures are not broken, whatever that means. We're going to talk about, they do exactly what they say in the box, but they end up leading to, I would say, annoyances and things that we try to iteratively improve on. So you mentioned the phrase plausible deniability, and that's a phrase that we sometimes use when we talk about Monero's sender ambiguity, and I wish it was a phrase that was used more often, because as we talked about before, people like to throw around words like private, fungible, when they really don't have any formal meaning. We have intuitive things where we assume private or fungible mean in terms of a digital asset, but it's kind of tough to nail it down exactly. So I like to kind of branch out Monero's privacy and anonymity guarantees into three parts: sender ambiguity or privacy, if you want to call it that, recipient ambiguity or privacy, and kind of amount and or metadata privacy. So in general, receiver anonymity and amount anonymity or amount metadata, you might say, are in general very, very good. So what happens is when you choose to send funds to someone with Monero, they're not directly linked to your wallet address. I have one or more Monero wallets for which there are addresses. I can receive funds addressed to those, and I can use funds addressed to those to later send to other people. So Justin has a wallet address, he gives it to me, and then I, somehow send funds to that using my Monero client.
And this is what's cool, because we were just learning about this. We're learning about bulletproofs. We're learning about the ring signature right now. And because of that, it kind of helps protect against the skeptics that are like, well, why can you just make money out of thin air? Not really. Can you just keep spending from the same wallet? Not really. So plausible deniability, possible you can deny this, lack of evidence. We're just going to call this Monero's core strength. Thought that was Mark Zuckerberg. That'd be super funny. Of all people, Monero's core strengths, I think, is plausible deniability. What is it? It's possible that you can deny this. Lack of evidence. One-time sending address. This is important. I'm learning about. So the one-time sending address is the address that they send out. It's not really viewable to you or even the receiver. But he explains it like pretty easy.
The wallet address itself, that if I'm sending funds to Justin, never actually appears in the blockchain. That's huge. Instead, what happens is I effectively generate kind of a one-time called output or note address sometimes, depending on who you ask. And that one-time address is what actually appears on blockchain. So wallet addresses never appear there.
And by the way, this happens 16 times. So these ring signatures, Zuckerberg with no hair, his ears do piss me off, and I don't like that he's those headphones, honestly. So one-time wallet address that they send out, they never know what's the initial address, but your key knows, like your private key knows, and they kind of know, like, hey, this is legit, but they explain it.
There's a difference between those, and it's kind of a subtle difference that's easy to miss from time to time. But the idea is when you're sending funds to someone, the recipient, their wallet address is never known. I basically kind of bake that recipient address into the one-time address in a way that's not reversible. So someone's looking at an output that I generate that's destined to Justin. No one can tell that it's destined to Justin. Justin's knowledge of the private key that corresponds to
Zuckerberg with no hair, though, is kind of crazy. I can't unsee it.
Directly determine anything about that address. Similarly, as I think we may have mentioned in the last episode, things like the amount of the transaction. Those used to be known in Monero for various reasons, but now those are basically kind of tied up in what's called the cryptographic commitment, and that's related to the whole idea of like range proofs and bullet proofs. That was a big point of discussion before, but that's also very
because, and by the way, Monero was not perfect. There was like a lot of flaws in the way it was implemented, and this has been a long-term stepping stone of how to make it. As I was reading through it, of how to make it private as possible. Pretty much, it's going at this point. It's kind of OPSEC failure to a certain degree. I believe it's something with the view key too. Technically, Monero is audible. Monero view key. But this isn't optional. This is you giving over. A Monero view key allows the holder to verify incoming transactions disdained for a specific wallet address. It can prove the outputs were sent to that address using the shared secret derived from the view key and the transaction's public key. This could be considered a failure point and kind of a security flaw in some senses because of the human element. This is why not having your Monero, everyone know what Monero wallet you use, or not letting everyone know where you hold the most of your Monero, maybe be a good idea, or circulate your Monero as much as possible between different wallets, different types of wallets, hardware wallets, etc., etc. This is kind of hard, one of those hard things to really lock down in a security sense, because it could potentially get hit by the $5 wrench method, but the answer to the $5 wrench method is AR-15. So there's the view key pretty much enables detection of incoming transactions, including the amounts, the blinding factors, which are encrypted using the shared secret, shared and include the transaction data. However, the view key alone cannot definitely prove where an output is being spent. It is determined as it's determining spending status is required the private spend key to calculate the key images to check the blockchain. But here's the thing: these things are in the same wallet, so saying this isn't an issue. It can be considered an issue. It's more or less of this is something that you should keep safeguarded and as secure as possible. I tell people just get a hardware wallet and send the Monero that they're going to hoard for maybe like financial reasons. Maybe Monero's worth an extensible amount of money in the future, and they're like, hey, I want to hoard it for my family generational wealth, whatever. Probably put in a hardware wallet and keep that locked down as much as possible, and then your seed phrase, the ultimate phrase, that password you want to keep. There we go. Bald Mark Zuckerberg.
Transaction is private. The recipient of your transaction is private, but we often like to talk about sender ambiguity, and that's where ring signatures come into play. So effectively, if I'm sending funds to Justin, I would have to take some funds that I had previously received in a so-called one-time output that was destined to me. And I don't want to just necessarily send those to him. In another alternate version of Monero, perhaps, maybe you could do that. Where I take that output one-time address, and I basically sign it over to him. So it's effectively what I'm really doing is I'm generating a new output one-time address, and I'm basically signing for it using the one that I have received. And when done properly, it's going to assure everyone that, the money existed before, that I controlled it, and that nothing, funny happened. But effectively, Monero, we want to obfuscate that even more using plausible deniability. So what I do is I basically take that one-time output address, you might want to say, that was destined to me, that I wish to actually spend to Justin. But I'm also going to take a bunch of other random convenient.
So at the time of this writing, this was 11. Now it's 16. And then we're moving toward FMPC++, which is supposed to be like 10,000 or something. It's like, imagine 10,000 addresses sending the same transaction. This is what that's why people call Bitcoin a mixer. I wouldn't necessarily say that. These are kind of like fake outputs. Mixing is just mixing coins with other coins where it can be dirty. You could get dirty Bitcoin or dirty Monero. That's why any website that's saying, hey, we'll mix your Monero, fucking waste and stupid. It's dumb. Just run your own node.
But I effectively take other one-time addresses that I don't control. Now, unlike things like CoinJoin or other mixers, I don't need to actually collaborate or cooperate with anyone to do this. They have no knowledge of what I'm doing, and that's an important part of this. I basically
correct.
Take other random one-time addresses, and I use those to form a structure called a ring sometimes.
Correct. So that was the part that I was trying to drive home. CoinJoin and all these other mixers require participants. This does not. That's the point. That's what's good about it. It's a system that is just private by default, and hence why I think that it matters. These people that are like crying over like, oh no, Zcash is worth $5, $6, $7, $800, $10,000 a coin, whatever. Who cares? Monero should always be focused on the mission. Maintain privacy, maintain fungibility, maintain deniability. Plausible deniability. So, pretty much Monero. Monero's address scheme is private for the sender and the receiver. Can I not spell receiver? Okay. For the private, it's private for the sender and the receiver. It fakes pretty much 16 transactions. On the blockchain. Something to think about. So because have you tried Ashigaru? It's a fork of Samurai Wallet, and they have a separate mixer app that replaces Samurai's. I have not tried Ashigaru. My problem with mixing Bitcoin and the whole Lightning is Bitcoin does this. Takes dirty Bitcoin, puts out dirty Bitcoin. Because I've used Samurai Wallet. I think it's a great product for people that want some level of Bitcoin privacy. But if it takes dirty Bitcoin and puts out dirty Bitcoin, continuous mixer. Yeah. But you don't know where that Bitcoin's coming from. It could take your dirty Bitcoin, and I'm using this heavy quotes. I don't believe that there's anything is called dirty money. Let me quote this. Because I used Samurai Wallet for, because I run my own Lightning node. And by the way, explaining liquidity and Lightning nodes to average users, not fucking happening. It's confusing. It's, Lightning isn't really that private, actually, surprisingly. I'm not against it. I like Lightning's, I like Lightning's speed. Lightning's best existence is speed. So, but all these like CoinJoin and extra steps they have to do to make Monero, like you're pretty much Bitcoin. All this is like Bitcoin. All this we're gonna just call this the Zcash section. Is there still a way to use Samurai? No. but there is a way to use Samurai. It's called Ronin Dojo. It's a fork. It's really cool. I think people should run it. Look, if you're going to run Bitcoin... So first off, Bitcoin Zcash or Fedcash is what I call it. Slash, we'll have a Bitcoin section here. Section here as well. Zcash. We're gonna delete this because it's gonna. CoinJoin / mixers. Bitcoin is public. Ledger. Traceable gold. Is what they call it. So, CoinJoin and mixers takes dirty Bitcoin, puts out dirty Bitcoin. That's the easiest way to explain it. So that loses its, say it with me, fungibility. If I could spell it. You know what it means. Loses its fungibility. Damn, can I really not spell that word? I'm retarded. Fungibility. No, I thought there was a D in there for some reason. Remember, guys, don't drop out of high school or college. Did I spell it right? Am I dumb? Go to school, guys. The fuck? I use copy paste, baby. You all know what I meant. Just need high school. College makes you dumber. No, I think there's a reason for college. I think it has a use. I think education always has a use. I think degrees are fine. I think people just act like people we're in the, so my era of the everyone was like, don't be one of those people. Those people are cringe. Trade school isn't as cracked up as to be. I know a lot of people that do not make money in that industry. And all the people saying, like, go to trade school, you realize that's going to saturate the market. And then you're not going to... The reason... So, let's learn a little economics. Supply. Demand. If you have not enough demand, everyone's going to need a plumber. Yeah, but if there's too many plumbers in the market, it doesn't matter. If there's too many plumbers in the market, then I'm not going to pay you. Why would I pay you? I'm just going to go to the lowest bidder. Everyone says trade school. This is just basic economics 101, man. So the trade school argument today was what nursing was back when I was in high school. Everyone said, go to nursing. Nursing's a trade, regardless of what you... Nursing's a skill. You have ADHD like me. I do. They aren't tracking people's Bitcoin, though, through mixers, though, are they? They're not tracking through them, but it loses its fungibility. Hold on. Let me one topic at a time real quick. Hold on. So trade schools the trade school talking point are the same people that talked about nursing back in the early 2000s. Nursing got saturated. Nobody fucking could find a job. I knew a lot of people that went to school for nursing, and it became a awful decision for a lot of people for a very long time, and then COVID happened. Market demand is always going to be what is an in-demand school that cannot be replaced. My sis went to nursing, and she's a stay-at-home mom. Well, that's different. I mean, she probably became a stay-at-home mom because their partner made more money. You would be retarded to get a nursing degree now. And now, nursing, you can make a shitload of money. Even the travel nurses still make a ton of money. I know people that are travel nurses, but I had a lot of friends that quite literally went to school for nursing and they got fucked because it got saturated because now there's too many nurses. And everyone does need a nurse. I mean, I would rather live than unclog my toilet. That's all I'm saying. Me living is more important than me unclogging my toilet. I can go unclog my toilet. I can go learn how to do that. I'm not saying that trades are bad career paths. I'm not saying trades are stupid. But this whole sentiment, yeah, college isn't for everyone. I agree with that. I've always agreed with that. But I think if you're going to go to college, go to OCC or another type of college, like your community college, whatever community college is. I'd look at women. Okay, maybe that's a you problem. Go to like any community college in your county, whether it be the great New York County, the great Oakland County of fucking California, the great county of your fucking city. Find your county college. Do this in order. Go to community college, get your degree, get all your prereqs out, pay out of pocket, and then go to a university. Do not go out of state. You're a retard if you go out of state. It's a fucking waste of money. And then pick a degree that's going to get you an in-demand job. But not every job's going to be in demand. It's just the reality of it. Do something that you like, do something that you're good at, and make good money in it. I mean, I've seen people pick the worst career path. Look, here's a perfect example. What do you call it? Do you think that we're back in 2000? No. I think we're heading to a recession, but that's because of mismanaged funds. I mean, that's a totally different topic. Here's a good example. What is the best business that will never die? And it's kind of in the name. It's kind of ironic. The funeral business. Funeral businesses are literally never going to go out of business. No, porn can go out of business. People could have their own awakening and not enjoy porn. The funeral business will never die. Quite literally, pun intended. People will always die. People will always need a place to be buried. Tons of money to be made in it. Millions of dollars. No, the porn industry is huge. I mean, people can make. I mean, it's digital now, so it's probably. Yeah, you're being cremated, but you still got to pay for it. You still got to think about it, and it's still got to be done. Morticians will never run out of business. They'll never run. They're recession-proof. It's big money. It's huge money. You don't see fucking funeral homes being financially closed. Even if you're cremated, it's still a lot. If crime exists, morticians are in business. Funeral homes are in business. Someone's still got. Now my wife will light me up like the Supernatural. Someone's got to dispose of your body. If you get murdered, someone's got to check it out. You know what I mean? Like mortuary is and just like nursing. Oh wait, you're a Linux user. You don't have a wife. I already know you're lying now. But that's the point. Is if we tell everyone to go to trade school and the trade market, because all these retards in politics that shouldn't be giving fucking working advice, that would never send their kids in this kind of industry, that would never actually I know people in the trade that get paid really not good. Like, some of them make good money, some of them don't. It depends. Everyone's like, you just need to do a trade. Oh, I make 17 figures. Okay, why are you still working, bro? And you're like 68. It's because you don't have a retirement plan. This is why bankers aren't sending their kids to trade school. They're sending their kids to Ivy League school. Can you escape a form of poverty in trade? Sure, yeah, absolutely. But I think it's being glorified in the gayest of ways. Because I think that it's either. I think two things are going to happen. It's going to saturate. Skull's good documentary. I'll have to check it out. I think skills are good. I think they're good to have. I think it's good to know how to fix stuff in your house. That doesn't mean that it's a good idea. And here's the real problem. If you pick an industry where people can be efficient, self-aware, and self-efficient, where they can do this themselves, you quite literally just fucked yourself. Anyone can go learn how to wire their house. The Skulls PG 13 2000 thriller action 2 hours. Too long. You already lost me. 2 hours too long. I don't think they have any way of tracking dirty Bitcoin. So back to part 2. Okay. So it's not about tracking. Actually, you can track Bitcoin. You can track it through wallet. It's a public ledger. It's in the name. But the thing is, it's not about tracking dirty Bitcoin now. It's, okay, say you want to buy something. And this is where plausible deniability and fungibility kind of, they're separate issues, but they make sense. Say you come to me and you want to buy something. I just have to look up the address, which I can do. I have to look up the address. Where has this Bitcoin been? Oh, it's with a political party that I do not like, or it's with maybe a super celebrity that I am not a fan of. I'm not going to sell you this product. I'm not going to give you internet access. I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to turn your gas on. I'm not going to sell you the car. Whatever you want to be, it removes the ability to disassociate this type of currency from you. Even you can say, "Oh, I just bought this. I just bought it off a mixer. I don't know." That's what removes the fungibility. Say this Bitcoin was used to buy something illegal. How do you now prove that you didn't use this to buy something illegal? That's my point. It loses its plausible deniability. It loses its fungibility. This is why you should run your own node. This is why you should do your own mixing. But the problem is, with this mixing, it requires a third party, aka other people. With Monero, it doesn't require any of this. It's just built into the code. This is a fundamental issue with Bitcoin. It is too transparent, the point of it, because it's supposed to ensure a trust into people that are buying it, and it's not fungible enough because it allows not to track you down and find who you are. It allows people to look at the what's the word I'm looking for? The track record of the paper trail. It's a paper trail. So think of it like cash. If me and another person are exchanging something and I give you $5 cash and you give me said product, only 2 people know about this. But with Bitcoin, hundreds of people know about this, where this Bitcoin came from. That's the problem with it. Because, again, it's a public ledger thing. What wallet did this Bitcoin touch? What wallet did this belong to? Who did this wallet belong to? Oh, I don't really like that person. They should ban them. You can't use exchanges now. Now you can't be sold products. Now you might be on federal trial. Whatever. I mean, it can leak to it because its privacy is not. It's not mandatory. It's optional. That's the problem. So another thing is the trackability. We know Monero is the GOAT, but we need a Bitcoin solution. Ryan, what's up, buddy? Do people have tricksterphobia, fear of number 13? Also have the fear that they use hexadecimal, the letter D. You need to stick around so you can teach me more about C. We know Monero is the GOAT, but we need a Bitcoin solution. I think Monero is the Bitcoin solution. I don't want my transactions public. If I was going to do that, I would just fucking use a credit card. You know what I mean? That's my point. And Bitcoin is heavily manipulated by the market. It gets dumped all the time. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is a fuck Bitcoin. I don't like Bitcoin for a lot of reasons, but I think people should be able to make their decisions. And if people aren't having this discussion about Bitcoin, it can't improve upon itself. Lightning was an improvement, but it was not a good solution, and it hasn't really lived up to its name. BRB, gonna go take a shower. You have to come back so we can learn C together. So I'm not saying Monero is the end of the road. What I am trying to, I guess, like correlate is that Monero achieves what Bitcoin can't right now. If Lightning could achieve the privacy of Monero, and Lightning could achieve the instability problem, the fact that Bitcoin is used as whale leveraging. Essentially, Bitcoin is used to pump it up, dump it, and then fuck the poor. You know, the people that buy into it. I would have maybe a less of an issue, and I would be more entitled to use Monero, Bitcoin on it. Monero isn't accepted anywhere compared to Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin's only strength. I disagree with this, actually. Bitcoin is not... Okay, so let me explain something real quick. I know a lot of companies do this. A lot of people, and I want you to hear me out. I want you to lock in with me real quick. We're going to do a perspective. A lot of people take BTC and then exchange for fiat. BTC has actually a finite supply. A lot of people take Bitcoin and exchange it for fiat. That hurts Bitcoin because then it takes the supply of Bitcoin, and then dumps it into Bitcoin. Dumps it into the market, which makes it more available, and maybe the demand goes down, and then the demand goes down, thus killing the price of Bitcoin. And people only care about price. They don't care about the functionality. Now that we understand that, Monero, there is something called the Monero. This is something, I understand, maybe I'm not trying to circular. Econ. The Monero circular economy is an economy that is self-sustaining economic model where participants trade goods and services and products directly from Monero without relying on fiat currency. That is self-sovereigning yourself from the system and being more independent with what you consider a value. That is what we need. We need to reject the idea of relying and taking your Bitcoin and exchanging it for the circular economy, exchanging it for fiat. So here's some websites. There's kyc.me. You said Monero isn't accepted anywhere. I disagree with this. We're going to do this. We're going to just click on Monero. 63 results. JMP Chat. Mulvad. XMR Bazaar. An entire marketplace where you can buy stuff with Monero. You can earn. I buy and sell trade Monero for USD cryptos, so those are losers. You can sell XMR, sell, work. You can do work. Help wanted, XMR repos, Android tester with Google email account. XMR BNB, Monero bed and breakfast. Ashley Jones, for some reason, free advertising on my search engine, make an offer. I actually should make an offer to Ashley Jones. That's kind of funny. I made my... What? What is this? They have their own search engine. You can choose to advertise. The price is free. However, I prefer to be paid in XMR for a generous amount of your choosing, but is not required. Paid advertisement will stay up for at least 30 days. Free will be taken down after my own direct discretion. You can advertise on their website, which I'm going to do. I'm going to advertise my all my socials. as long as she can make it very funny and based. I'll have to bookmark that later. So there's a ton of sites on here. There's also Monero Ka. And I'm going to just point out why I disagree with you. It's an entire directory. They have Exchange Me. They have Cypher Goat, a non-custodial swap. They have XMR cards. I purchased a burrito that I bought with Monero. Yes, can I go? Yes, I didn't go directly into a site, a burrito store, and fucking hit him with my my address and buy Monero. I mean, buy a burrito with Monero. But I purchased stuff that I can actually use with Monero without having to exchange it for fiat. I've been paying for Mullvad for a very long time with Monero. I paid for my laptop, my whole laptop, with Monero. There's coin cards, there's nodes, there's jobs, there's freelancers. This is an entire directory for Monero. And again, if Monero switches its entire ideology, or becomes traceable, or loses the fund, or loses the plot, and becomes like Bitcoin, I'll drop it and I'll be critical of it. If Bitcoin tomorrow, Lightning was private and faster than Monero, and less manipulated, and less and more fungible, I would embrace the Lightning network and I would use it more. But the problem is, you have to, first off, with the Lightning network, you have to run your own node to ensure that you are getting the maximum amount of privacy. And again, explaining liquidity because I run my own node is kind of a nightmare to people. They're like, what do you mean liquidity? What do you mean I have to funnel these channels in order to do it? That's not easy for the average user, and I'm an RTF, read the fucking manual kind of person. I think RTFM is like the answer for a lot of shit, but it's just not feasible for a lot of people. And Bitcoin fees, minus the Lightning network, are fucking atrocious. That's the problem. But there's people that do freelancing work. You want to have an app? I file FOIA public right request for you to protect your identity. Know what info U.S. agencies hold under the Privacy Act. You can do FOIA requests for this motherfucker. You want to learn about the government, motherfucker? Stay abroad made possible. Stay abroad made possible. I'm actually coming up in I have a series of videos that I'm going to release at some point. I'm coming up with a video where I'm going to travel, pay for my hotel with Monero. There's actually, I believe it's called Monero Maps. If I'm not mistaken. It's like a map where you can, I think it's called Coin Maps. Nope, that's not it. Where to spend my Monero IRL? Crypto work. This is it. This is huge. So this is I used this site when I was in a different country. A Monero directory. Places that accept it. And then you can use, there's a map they have. I swear there was a map they had. Oh, yep, here it is. We're gonna lock this. So this heat map is where you can where it accepts Monero. As an online delivery service. So they accept Monero. This hotel accepts Monero. look how many places actually accept it. More in Germany for some funny reason, and then pretty much tiny Germany, Austria, and then Chechnya, no places. Boo! Even though they had MoneroCon there, which is kind of funny. But there's so many places all over Europe that accept it. The U.S., I don't know what country you're in, but there's even a place, Kyrgyzstan, that's crazy. They did DID virtual numbers. Yo, what? India? That's crazy. Europe is way more crypto friendly. Yeah, but India, guys, for real? Web development? Blockchain? Okay. Exchange, yeah, that hosting. Host. Yeah, you kind of, not really. They're actually not a fan. Somebody said that North Korea is a huge fan of Monero, but there's a different reason why. Japan had, what is a VPN? Redacted VPN in Japan. China, of course not. Well, Hong Kong, the only free spot in China, but the Philippines, I always like seeing these places. Wayne Enterprises, we out to India, fam. Yeah, based for real. Australia, another shithole for privacy. They have a cloud service out there. Oh wow, Alpine Optics. Where Austria, there's an optics place that takes but they have poor ratings, so that's kind of disappointing. Brazil, of course, the U.S. in like New York and shit. I wonder if South America, Mexico based health. So I could go to my doctor and be like in Mexico and be like, hey, do you accept this? By the way, living room of Satoshi, Japan. I could buy a computer in Colombia, guys. We have more than 30 years of traditional technology sector representing the best brands. And nice, guys. I can go into the local computer store in Colombia and instead of cocaine, purchase Paraguay. Shopping, crypto, postage, consulting. That just sounds like a waste. Security. Nice. I could pay. Oh, it's like It's a SSL site. One place in all Japan, you can't compare that to Bitcoin no matter how much better it is. Well, that's one country. That's retarded. Look, there's a place in Russia that accepts it. Probably a VPN. Oh, exchange. I don't care that one country does it. And this is just like what's public. There's a lot of places that probably... So, there's MoneroCon. MoneroCon was hosted in Japan. And then there's Monerotopia. And the thing is, Bitcoin is not getting delisted like Monero. So of course people are going to be scared of it because they don't think that it's going to be around. But there's Monerotopia, an entire conference in Mexico that literally accepts Monero. Like the whole point is these people to come here, workshops, adoptionality, conference, bars, etc., to accept it. I'm just pointing out that Monero definitely has a huge... Okay, there's another one. Porkfest. Loves Monero. It could be 500 places in Japan. It doesn't change the fact that Bitcoin is common as cash. It's not as common as cash. People take... Bro, I want to go. Yeah, that'd be awesome. People exchange Bitcoin for cash because again they don't see the value in Bitcoin. They just want to pump their bags. I've always stated that Bitcoin is not they don't care about the technology, they care about just making money and then exchanging it for fiat. And if you exchange it for fiat, you're literally buying back into the system that you're supposed to be against. But saying it could be in 500 places in Japan, it doesn't. But Japan's one country. I don't care about just Japan. I don't care if it's in one place in Japan. I don't live in Japan. I want it to be. I live in the United States. I want it to be adopted everywhere, but I want it to be mainly adopted in the country that I'm in, that I spend the most time in, which is the United States. PorkFest, I think, saw. This is like a huge libertarian event. Parties, people that are like very anti-government go to this, but that makes sense. Based, actually. Welcome home, Ross. I don't care about that, though. June, your computer quality, you're comparing quality. I think Monero has better quality than quantity. If that's your argument, that's a pretty bad one, because I think that Monero's quality is better than the amount of places that it is accepted. And I'm not comparing quality to quantity. I'm saying Monero is accepted in a lot of places. You said that Monero, and I quote, is I don't think they're you're like, Monero isn't accepted anywhere compared to Bitcoin. That's a lie. Monero is accepted in a lot of places. Actually, some companies even prefer Monero because of its lack of traceability and the fact that it's cheap to send and it just works. I think that there is, I don't even think, I'm going to remove the word I think because that becomes subjective. Monero's fungibility and Monero's default privacy is far greater. And the fact that, if you think about it, Mulvad alone, Mulvad accepts Monero. By default. It wants to. Compared to Bitcoin. Of course. But compared to Bitcoin, Monero has better quality. And is still spendable. You said it's not. You said, and I quote, I don't think you said Monero isn't accepted anywhere compared to Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin's only strength. That I disagree with. You say we know, but you said quite literally Monero's. I just showed you a ton of places that Monero is accepted where Bitcoin is accepted. Have you walked into a dealership and bought something with Bitcoin? No, probably not. Have you gone into a physical place and bought something with Bitcoin? I've only been to one place and used Bitcoin in real life in one place, by the way. But that's anecdotal, so anecdotal is not really the point. The point I'm making is we don't need Bitcoin to be live. Look, I think Tesla did accept Bitcoin at one point, and they backed off because of how much it swings. Nobody likes a currency that swings to $5,000 every couple hours. They're like, oh, it's up $5,000, up it's down $2,000, up it's $5,000, and you know what I mean? That's an unstable currency. That's like having the dollar. Like, imagine you go to bed with $20,000 and you wake up and it's $15,000. You'd be kind of pissed. Monero's swings are very less stagnant, and then spending wise, they have conferences that embrace you to come bring in Monero and purchase it. That's what a MoneroCon was. I bought merch the other day with Monero, like completely anonymous. Ryan is a stupid name. Ryan is a stupid fucking name. There is actually a chart. PorkFest currency. PorkFest currency chart. Money versus Monero versus Zcash. I think it was versus Zcash versus Bitcoin. Maybe it was on Twitter I saw it. They had a chart. that talked about. Oh, I'm not going to find it. So they recently PorcFest released maybe what most people use. It's in New Hampshire, of course. What people used, and Monero is getting there. Like they had like what was it? Nope. I can't. If I ever come across a chart, I'll drop it. Bitcoin is huge compared to Monero. It doesn't matter how shit Bitcoin is. The Ryan Edge site is cool as fuck. The Ryan Edgar site is cool as fuck. Yeah. Well, of course, Bitcoin is huge because they found out how to fucking manipulate it. Duh. Hey guys, we have a 24-hour unlimited currency that has no regulation. I'm Michael Saylor. Nice to meet ya. Like, no shit. I'm just pointing out that you can purchase stuff with Monero. That's the point. And there are places that accept it, and there's actually a ton of places that don't accept Bitcoin because of legal reasons. Because they don't want to get into they don't want to get deposited Bitcoin and then 5 minutes later, they're like, guys, we just lost $1,500 because we didn't transfer it to fiat. And the point is, Bitcoin gets transferred to fiat. You fundamentally just exited the whole crypto. It's not stable enough. That's why people exchange it for fiat. This is why you have the Monero circular economy. You get a like because you use Brave. Thanks, appreciate it. Finally, a based Brave user. But I digress. That is the way I look at it. I look at the faults of Monero is because it's private, and that's what makes it kind of a bad. And if you could look at it as a bad investment, because it gets delisted, because the public-facing companies like Kraken, Coinbase, etc., don't want to deal with the legal headache that they might have to. Brave gang for real. So, like, when these companies, was Brave really funded by Peter Thiel? Probably. Peter Thiel funds a lot of shit. I mean, the guy's a fucking philanthropist, fucking billionaire retard. He also gets the gay reward because he uses Brave. No hate, just saying. Fuck you, Ryan. You're an ice cat, probably. You probably use Firefox. Fox gay. But the thing is Bitcoin is like almost like a corporate cryptocurrency. It's like Zcash. People like that it's manipulated. I use them only because the ad block's great, fucking great. It's simple. You don't gotta think. You literally just download Brave and it fucking works. And I do like it just fucking works kind of software. But I digress. The negative side of Monero in hindsight is that it's private. So it makes it I use links for this based. Monero's biggest problem, and we can even look at it from perspective. Links is crazy. Respect. No, Ryan's just kidding. He doesn't. I mean, if he's being serious, he doesn't have a wife then. So Monero's cons has been kind of like talked about. Is first, I think it's liquidity. That's a huge one. The fact that it's too private. Companies hate this. Hate this one trick kind of thing. You might as well compare the Tor browser to Chrome. Not really, because I mean both are open source and both are funded by the government. Monero's, I mean, you can compare Monero's pros and cons against Bitcoin. You can have a comparison. Their comparison matters. Monero's private by default. Bitcoin's not. It's a public ledger. And they essentially, yes, Bitcoin is pseudo-anonymous. If you never go to a KYC wallet, it is private by definition. It's pseudo-private. But there's too many steps that you have to make Bitcoin private. That's the problem. It's transparency. Monero is a fork of Monero took the idea of what Bitcoin wanted to be and just made it. That's the point. I mean, it's literally like, wow, there's these problems with Bitcoin actually. How do we fix it? And then they fix it. So you could say they are comparable because no, there's no comparison to Bitcoin is a joke. I don't think Bitcoin's a joke. I think Bitcoin lost the plot because, again, Bitcoin became too public. It's traceable gold, but it's worth the most. Of course, it's worth the most because it's. Do you know who Michael Saylor is? Have you heard of whales? Is this your first time finding out market manipulation can happen in the crypto space? A 24-hour decentralized, non-regulated market? Of course. So the Monero's cons is liquidity. It's too private. Companies hate it. The delisting problem. It gets delisted so that hurts it in a market value. Okay, we can just do delisting issue. But liquidity is one of the biggest ones. Could you write farts in your notes? Yeah. Farts. Wait, like that? Farts. In quotes, though. So that's the main issues. Is I mean, there's probably going to be more added to this. I mean, there are issues not running your own node. I could put that. Because it's whales. Yeah, of course. I2 pool is the biggest was one of the biggest fucking cucks of this. And Michael Saylor, fuck him. I just don't like Michael Saylor, to be honest. I've just listened to that guy and I just fucking lose brain cells. He just annoys me. But I also don't really care for who's the guy that does Monero Talk? He just annoys me too. He runs Monerotopia. Monero Talk. Doug is his name. I know his name is Doug. Doug Tuman. I just don't like Doug Tuman. There's something about him that just makes me think. He makes me think too much. I think he's actually a secret Zcash holder, and he just doesn't want to tell anyone. Maneuver with Jeff 256, who discussed the upcoming Carrot Protocol upgraded to full chain memberships. FCMP++, that's what it is. I can't. Doug Funny. He is the Doug Funny of Monero. I don't know. I just get icky vibes from him, maybe. Maybe it's because he's old. Maybe I just don't like... Maybe I'm ageist and I just don't like boomers. Or people that are old. Soon I will be old. One day. Wow. But beyond that, I digress on the hate. I mean, whales is an issue, but beyond that, it's that's like any. There might be a time where Monero might get pumped. It might get tried to get market manipulated. For all I know, I mean, it's not impossible. But Monero's biggest issue is liquidity. That's like this is like number one. This would be number two, and then maybe in order number three. I mean, we know what Bitcoin's problem is. We're gonna learn more about C, but first we're gonna read Zero to Monero. I always forget about Doug Funny. Mr. Dinkle, Mr. Dinks, was that his name? I remember Panty Mayonnaise. For some reason. I don't know why I remember Panty Mayonnaise. Who is that green guy? Who is the green guy? Come on, somebody please tell me. The green guy. The green guy from Doug. Yeah, Mr. Dinkle. Mr. Dinkle is a character that animated in the series Doug and is named based on the acronym DINK, which stands for Double Income No Kids. That's funny. I remember he was always like very expensive. Wow, that is actually like, that is 5D chess right there. Double income no kids or dual income no kids. This nickname reflects his financial status, explaining how he can afford very expensive items he owns. He is portrayed as a wealthy single man who lives alone and is often seen with his wife, Tippy, who he affectionately refers as Mrs. Dink. The character's name and lifestyle have become a point of discussion among fans, with some noting humorous connections in the real-world term Dink. I forgot about this guy. He was purple, I remember him. Okay, that is not it. Can we get a look? Mr. Dinkle? No. He was very specific looking. Alright, don't look at Mr. Dink. Mr. Dink. Wasn't it Doug? Was it Doug Funny? Skeeter? No. Not Skeeter. Yeah, this guy. Mr. Dink. No, it was the green bully guy. I remember Skeeter, though. The green bully from... Mr. Dink is a creep? What the fuck? What is this shit? Dude, Reddit's always... Someone's always got to fuck this shit up. Am I going to get blocked? Yeah. Fuck you, Reddit, you fucking loser. Roger. Yes, Roger. From... Doug. Cartoon. Yeah, this guy definitely had a disease. He had, like, gangrene or something. Dude, why did he have a crush on Patty Mayonnaise, though? Like, she... I'm making fun of, like, children's cartoons. This is pretty low. But this girl's hair, bro. I remember that. And that's his sister. This is what French people look like, though. What was his sister's name? Oh, man. I remember Roger now. He was kind of a dick. The Beats. Yeah, what was up with the Beats in Doug? I gotta look into some theories about this show. The animated television series Doug, which aired in 1901, predominantly featured Beats both as a recurring vegetable and as the name of the fictional rock band. The show's protagonist, Doug Funny. See, it's not Doug Funny with an F. Y. It's a Doug Funny. Killer Tofu. What was Killer Tofu? Oh, man, this is like core memory right here. The fixation on beets is believed to reflect the show's creator's vegetarian leanings, as meat is often portrayed in a gross or silly in the show, while vegetables like beets and tofu are regularly consumed. Wow, I didn't know the creators were vegetarian. That's crazy. A central music element in the series' fictional band, The Beats, a Beatles-inspired group that serves a parody of the British invasion bands like the Beatles, The Who, and the Rolling Stones. All terrible bands, by the way. The band first appeared in the episode Doug Rocks, which premiered on September 8th, 1991. Based! And 3 days and 11 years before 9/11. Are there ways to hide from flock cameras? Would a Wi-Fi jammer work, or are they 5G? Probably not. It would probably be illegal to jam them anyways. You would probably be committing a massive crime. There are some arbitrary reasons. I mean, arbitrary ways, I believe, to do it with a certain. If they use infrared, there are glasses you can use that reflect, that kind of distort infrared cameras. But if they don't use infrared, you kind of just want to look like everyone else. How you avoid flock is by wearing a regular black plain baseball cap, a t-shirt, and kind of look normal. Like you want to look normal as fuck. But other than that, from what I understand, that flock is unavoidable. Actually, you could even go a step further. You could contact your local state representative. Yeah, I was about to say that. If you contact your local state representative and tell them to kill the funding for flock, that would be your next best step. Because there are some states that have already done this, where they remove the funding from flock itself to make sure that it is not allowed in their state. It's completely optional. It's not mandatory that flock is there. They just get a lot of government contracts, and your state unfortunately spends your tax dollars on it. So you definitely have a say in it. You definitely have a say in it, and you should write your state representatives, especially around election season, and be like, I don't want you guys to fund flock anymore. It's a waste of taxpayer dollars. Cops should do their job, and I don't like the privacy invasive problem with it. This is actually an argument of why CCTVs are technically okay, because CCTVs technically are publicly owned because your tax dollars pay for it, and they can be expunged, FOIA request. With a private company, they're not required. So this is a fundamental issue with privacy state in the United States, with no good common sense written laws that actually make these pretty much these companies like liable. You know, like Palantir, the giant shithole that somehow is making millions of dollars but does absolutely nothing. In addition to the ban and vegetables, the phrase "beats me" is used. I forgot they do use "beats me" a lot in this show. Oh my god. The town Bluffington, where the show is set, is also deeply associated with beets, with the local culture and the economy seemingly set around them. This is highlighted in episode Doug's Great Beet War, where the school float competition revolves around beet-themed parade and the town's pride in its beets emphasis. Beets are kind of good, but like they're not that good. Like I mean, I don't hate beets. I kind of like them, but damn, man. There's feature songs as "I Need Mo Allowance" and shout your lungs out." The beats are portrayed as a mix of humor and fixation. Okay. Incorporating references to the Beatles, such as the Paul is dead conspiracy theory, while maintaining a whimsical cartoonish tone. Wow, that's kind of crazy, actually. Oh, okay. So now I know about the beats. Killer Tofu? I need to look at this real quick then. I forgot. I didn't notice that. What's Killer Tofu? I didn't know that they were vegetarian, so that's kind of funny. So that kind of makes sense. Killer Tofu is a fictional song performed by the Beats, a parody rock band featured in the 1990s Nickelodeon animated Doug. The song first appeared in the episode Doug Rocks, which premiered on September 8th, 1991. Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Wow, interesting. Interesting. Huh. So we're going to go to... not chapter 2. We're on chapter 7. There we go. Chapter 7, the Monero blockchain. All right, guys, get your popcorn ready and your snacks. I'm going to grab water, and we're going to read some more, and then we're going to learn some more C and talk about pee-pee poo-poo. Okay. Okay. Wow. Yo, if you kind of think about it, pizza delivery was just DoorDash, but only pizza. And someone woke up, and they're like, why don't we just do everything? It's just kind of funny. How would you like your tacos delivered to you instead of just pizza? It's kind of weird. I misplaced my beans somehow. But it's okay. First world problems, you know what I'm saying? Misplacing your beans. Damn. Domain seizures. RIP. Not the beans. True. It's always bad when the beans are... Man eating beans! I don't know why people have bean hate too. Beans are great. What kind of beans? The best type of beans, pinto. Pinto and navy beans, actually. I'm just concerned on where they went. You know, I thought I would hate black beans because they're black and they just look they honestly look gross. They just look gross. Black beans look disgusting. I'm not gonna lie. Do you like lentil? Oh yeah, I fuck with lentils. I thought I would hate lentil. There's a lot of food throughout my life I thought I would hate, and I'm like, I'm such a retard. Like I thought I would hate radishes. I'm like, radishes are great. I thought I would hate beets. Beets are good. I thought I was gonna hate arugula. I'm like, arugula's based. Arugula just sounds like shit. You know, I fuck with broccoli too. Broccoli based too. I love broccoli. But my favorite lentil is probably red. Red's the best. Red lentils. They kind of just hit. They don't really have a taste. You can kind of make them taste how you want. Microgreen? Yeah, microgreen's straight. I kind of like all vegetables, but there's certain ones I don't fuck. I can't do cilantro. I just don't like it. You don't like black beans because the color? Yeah. That's exactly the reason. No. I didn't think I would like them. I don't. If I had to put black beans on the list, it'd be like number 4. Probably the last, actually. Yeah. Now that I think about it. Now that you mention it, I don't like black beans because... Exactly. What vegetable don't I like? I thought I would hate eggplant. Eggplant is straight. To be completely honest. What's another one I don't like? I don't really fuck with I don't hate tomatoes, but I don't fuck with them. They're kind of like a specific... I have to have them in... You know what's weird? I have to have specific foods in specific dishes to like them. It's kind of weird. Does that make sense? Am I crazy? Am I out of touch? Okay. What do you guys think about that? We're gonna read about Monero. Okay. Chapter 7, the Monero blockchain. The Internet Age has blocked us new dimensions of human experience. We can correspond. I think we did that. No, we haven't. Digital currency. Okay. So, actually, kind of funny. I know people shit on email. This is a side note, but it kind of makes sense. People shit on email. Email is decentralized, whether people want to admit it or not. Emails are protocols. Anyone can go and make an email service. Is resilient as like maybe Nostr or like Blue Sky? Probably not, because a lot of ISPs block you being able to run your own email domain. There's a lot of spam and like kind of like nuance in it. I've heard email admins probably have the highest suicide rate, and that's probably true because I've set up an email server before, and I also wanted to kill myself. I don't like email, but I will say that email is decentralized in its nature because it's a protocol, especially if you own your own domain. If you own your own domain, you kind of have a little bit more control over the what the fuck? You kind of protect your ability to go to anywhere. All the Zcash people, they're like, guys, I could have made a bag and then traded it for fiat and then had the government take 40%. I love traceable currencies. So email, in a sense, is somewhat decentralized, but that's, I digress. That's my soapbox moment. So chapter 7. Designing a digital currency is not trivial. There are 3 types: personal, centralized, or distributed. Keep in mind that a digital currency is just like a collection of messages, and the amounts recorded in those messages are interpreted as monetary qualities. So that's kind of like how it is viewed, and I agree that that's probably true. That's what kind of gives its value. So if there's only one, let's take like if there's Cumcoin. If there's a coin called Cumcoin, and there's only 5,000 versions of like 5,000 coins made of Cumcoin, and say they burned off to 4,000, and each coin is $1. Like say it's like $1, and somebody buys 30%, 3,000 Cumcoins. Now in circulating supply, there's only 1,000 Cumcoins, making it scarce, thus making a lot of people want Cumcoin. And because they want Cumcoin, and it's because it's scarce, it creates a fictional market. Like, oh my god, I gotta have Cumcoin. There's actually a good video on gold. Gold does this. It's kind of scarce. There's no real utility besides like jewelry and like computer work and dental work. Beyond that, it's not really a valuable resource. There are better resources out there, but humans are fixated on gold, and they think that it's this big value, and I think it's somewhat manipulated. I don't think gold has really as much value as everyone makes it out to be, but that's, people can argue about that all they want. Gold is heavy. It's not really portable. It's fractionable. There's a fractionability of it. I mean, you can fraction gold up, but the portability becomes less because of how heavy it is, and the fact that people can just rob you, and they're like, oh, you have gold? You have a gold condom? Time to take it from you. I don't care if you say no. Kind of type mentality. So that's just something to think about. The good thing about, Monero is I can put it in a hardware wallet, take it overseas. No one knows I have it. No one knows how much I have, and it's portable. So that's just something to think about. And again, anyone can go make their own cryptocurrency as long as they have the money and the to fund the liquidity, etc., etc. So, and there could be decentralized and centralized exchanges, DeFi, or DeSci or something, or centralized exchanges, CeFi or whatever. There's ways that you can centralize cryptocurrency. It's not completely decentralized. There can be some form of, like, if you tell everyone to delist Monero, then you kind of manipulated the market to not care about it. That is a fundamental problem. and regulatory compliance and all this other shit. Paperwork. So in the email model, anyone can make coins, e.g., messages saying "I own 5 coins," and anyone can send their coins over and over to whoever that has an email address. It does not have a limited supply, nor it does prevent spending the same coins over and over, double spending. In this video game model, where the entry's currencies is stored and recorded on a central database, users rely on the custodian to be honest. The currency supply is unverifiable for observers, and the custodian can change the rules at any time or be censored by powerful outsiders, aka delisters. Distributed share versions of events. In digital shared money, many computers each have a record of every currency transaction. When a new transaction is made on the computer, it is broadcast to the other computers and accepted if it's followed predefined rules. Users only benefit from coins when the users accept them in exchange, and users only accept the coins if they feel they are legitimate. To maximize the utility of the coins, users are naturally inclined to settle on a common accepted rule set without the presence of a central authority. Money can be created and clearly defined as scenarios. Transactions spend money that already exists. A person can only spend a piece of money once, and only the person who owns the piece of money can spend it. Transaction outputs money equal to the money spent, and transactions are formally correct. So this could be, this is agreeable. If I had a dollar bill and I could just take that dollar bill and just rip it in half and then make $2 bills, like two $1 bills, I essentially made money out of thin air, quite literally. I took a dollar denomination, say like the rules were written like, you rip any amount of money and it doubles. That would be kind of a bad financial system for money. So how do you solve this? Well, you make it, it has to be in full legal tender. It's this denomination, and you can only spend it one time. Thus, taking it out of my supply and putting it in the circular economy. Thus, more people have access to it, or maybe it's scarce and increasing the value, whatever you want to look at it or not. I mean, at one point, physical cows were like considered like this is the economy. Like the economy was based on cows and survival items. Now we're in kind of like an era where like that's not as needed. The barter system isn't quote unquote as needed. So a lot of these things that people are like purchasing with like aka monetary value all comes down to you hand me a dollar, I see that dollar is worth it. It can be created. Clearly defined schemes. The transactions to spend money already exist. Like they're going to send me a dollar. We already know the dollar is worth $1. I'm going to give them the product. Only the person who owns the piece of money can spend it. The person that's handing me the dollar, I know they own it and they're spending it with me. So it's kind of like a chain of trust. Rule 2-6 are covered by the transaction scheme discussed in Chapter 6, which adds the fungibility and privacy-related benefits of ambiguous signing, anonymous receipts of funds, and the unreadable amount transfers. We explained Rule 1 later in this chapter. Transactions use cryptography, so we call their content a cryptocurrency. Mind blown. If two computers receive different legitimate transactions spending the same money before they have a chance to send the information to each other, how do they decide what is correct? There is a fork in the currency because two different copies that follow the same rules exist. clearly the earliest legitimate transaction spending is a piece of money should be canonical. This is easier than said than done. We'll see obtaining consensus for transaction history constitute the reason d'entrée of blockchain technology. In political science, this is called a Schelling point, social minima, or social contract. In commodity money, like gold, these rules are met by physical reality. That's kind of true. I mean, money is a social contract. When you hand me $5, you kind of are contracting like on a social level. Like, hey, I'm handing you $5. This $5 is worth $5. It's the only $5 in existence for me, who has owned it. I own the $5. Here's the $5. This will buy you $5 worth of goods and services. The Monero blockchain, simple blockchain. Okay. First, we all need computers, henceforth refer it as a node to agree with the other transactions. Let's say a currency started with a Genesis declaration. Let the sample code begin. We call this message a block, as its block hash is BHG equals H. Let the sample code begin. Every time a node receives some transactions, they use hash of those transactions TH, like BH1 equals H, BH, TH, TH2, etc. And so on, publishing each new block of a message that is made. Each new block references the previous most recent published block. In this way, a clear order of events extends chains all the way back to the Genesis message. We have a very simple blockchain. Heavy quotes. Nodes can include a timestamp in their blocks to aid in record keeping. If most nodes are honest with the timestamps, then the blockchain provides a decent picture of when each transaction was recorded. If different blocks referencing the same previous block are published at the same time, then the network of nodes will fork as each node receives one of the new blocks before the other. For simplicity, imagine about half the nodes end up with each other, each side of the fork. Difficulty. If nodes can publish new blocks whenever they want, the network might fracture and diverge into many different equally legitimate chains. Say it takes 30 seconds to make sure everyone in the network gets a new block. What if what if new blocks are sent out every 31, 15, and 10 seconds, etc.? We can control how fast the entire network makes the new blocks. If the time it takes to make a new block is much bigger than the time for a previous block reached most of the nodes, the network will tend to remain intact. Mining a block. Output of a cryptographic hash function is uniformly distributed and apparently independent of the input. This means that given a potential input, its hash is equally likely to be every single possible output. Furthermore, it takes a certain amount of time to compute a single hash. A blockchain is technically a directed acrylic graph, a DAG, with Bitcoin-style blockchains one-dimensional variant. DAGs contain a finite number of nodes and one-directional edges, vectors connecting nodes. If you start at one node, you will never loop back into it, no matter what path you take. Let's imagine a hash function with which outputs a number of 1 to 100. Given some sex, the same random number from 1 to 100. Every time you calculate it, it takes 1 minute to calculate. So we are given a message M to told to find nonce that such output of a number is less than equal to the target. Huh. Interesting. Do this. Hmm. Okay. The blockchain. The most important part. I honestly don't know the difference. I've seen it. So actually, funny. I will say I saw somebody say that. Oh. We'll just look at this. I will say that someone said Meshtastic is useless. And I disagree with them because that's retarded. Oh, there we go. Meshtastic. Mesh scores probably has better utility in a disaster scenario, but I don't know. I like Meshtastic. I think it's great. I think it has a use case. There's no license needed. And it's getting better. Can anyone explain it in 2 minutes, though? Clickbait. Your mesh SIM card? Illegal signals? Okay. Is this just a tech dude? Oh. It's a guy what he's interested in. He did something about solar. There's your own DIY. Okay, cool. I learned nothing. But I think Meshtastic has its place. I think people are just out of touch with it because they expect it. They expect it to do something, if that makes sense. They expect it to be like this giant replacement to. The problem is with Meshtastic is it has retards like this. This is the problem with the internet. Is fucking retards like this. And it's just fucking clickbait. And people like try to justify clickbait. It's just not good anymore. It's not. There's no good excuse. The phone killer.
There's a new tech.
Congratulations, you reinvented the pager. There's always people like this. Hi, I've been working as an RF engineer in space for 15 years. Yeah, we know. Meshtastic is great for people that don't want to fucking get a license. But the problem is people will comment on there, this is clickbait, and it just pushes the algorithm. It pushes it. It pushes it out. But Ronin Dojo exists. And Breaking Monero.
Tech darling in town. It's called Meshtastic, and it promises to bring us an off-grid, decentralized comms network that's entirely
Mesh
open source
core
and outside the control of Big Brother.
fast.
Best of all, it runs for free on tiny, affordable, and low-powered radios sporting ESP32 microcontrollers. But besides looking really cool and getting...
Yeah. Damn it. Core token? Let's see what this is. YE.
new piece of technology that can completely redefine
He does look like he wants to kill himself, though.
how the world connects. Bold claims, I know, but I'll put my name on it. I believe tech like this represent.
Yeah, people say they'll put the name on it, then they'll continue to make content. It doesn't really matter. I've seen big YouTubers make the shittiest mistake, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt their views. They don't care. They move on.
The future of wireless communication. Not to mention, it might be one of the most impressive builds I've ever shown on this channel. This is definitely something that you've never seen before. I've waited over a year to get my hands on it, and no, you don't need 20 grand to own one of these, which kind of confirms what we suspected all along about the military-industrial complex. But let's stay on topic, because this video isn't really about this device or even technology. It's actually about something much bigger. Freedom. The freedom to communicate and connect without being at the mercy of centralized
Bluetooth enters the chat.
providers that want to charge us a monthly fee for the rest of our lives.
That's the point, though. People complain about the monthly charge. How the fuck do you think shit works? You think shit's supposed to be free? What a moron take. How'd you buy this device? With fun money? In dreams? It's a high-power Wi-Fi mesh device that allows communication between these units where your data that the data is encrypted can hop from the device until it reaches the integrity target address. I'm trying desperately to bring my town into 2025 and help our severely overworked emergency service. Thank you. That's retarded. The problem is, if this communications isn't encrypted, it doesn't matter. Before they had a website, I'll say the owner is absolute wealth of knowledge, of super easy to talk to, whatever. I'm 10 minutes in and I have no clue what this thing does. Catchy title, but better explanation. Yeah. The battery choice, blah, blah, blah. Give me a Pringles can, Raspberry Pi, and an avocado, for real. TDR, it's a sub-gigahertz enabled Wi-Fi router similar to one he built in open source based on open source plans and then sold plans to build it for way too much. There we go. 5 minutes saved. 33 minutes. 33 minutes, that's crazy. Everyone's like, guys, mark my words. This is the tech innovation changer. It's not.
Promise. Systems that are cryptographically sound, open, and object into a peer-to-peer message job to open the world and move in that direction. Back in August, Jack Dorsey dropped a weekend project that turned an iPhone's Bluetooth chip into a peer-to-peer.
Says iPhone's Bluetooth and then shows Android immediately is kind of funny. And the problem, I guess, with this is that, look, I'm glad the vulnerabilities got discovered, but it was like, there's a lot of security flaws with this. Why are you using it? Just use Signal. Use Simple X or whatever.
Right now, it's estimated that the UK now has one CCTV camera for every 12.
CCTV cameras aren't the problem. I love you. Good night. Good night, Ryan. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by.
Being imprisoned for tweets.
Can we arrest him for throw for edgy tweets? I don't know how true this is.
EU and Australia are rolling out digital ID systems.
That's true.
Into nearly every part of daily life, and you won't be.
I mean, YouTube's just doing this in general.
Able to opt out. It's being built as required infrastructure. Meanwhile, some of us here in the States, well, we've read 1984, and we don't need a live-action remake.
So you're going to use an unproven, uncryptographically maybe flawed system. And by the way, this isn't hate or anything. The FBI and most intelligence agencies just capture you on metadata.
Is something that you care about, than decentralized blockchains, promote solar energy.
You don't need blockchains to be decentralized, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
3D printing, and now mesh networking are technology take the power from the few and put it into the hands of the many. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you already know I'm all for that. Alright, stepping off my soapbox now. Today, I'm putting this device through its paces, showing you exactly how it works. It's and historic densely looks like mainnet, which is short for mobile ad hoc net. One way to find out. Okay, so what even is this thing? It's called a manet. Phonetically, looks like mainnet, which is short for mobile ad hoc network.
Oh, this is already getting popular because people, because they're overpriced. And retards are buying this. That's the real problem. Let's imagine a hash function. So we're going to go back. We're going to go back to this. We're going to go to chapter 7, part 7. Let's imagine hash functions which outputs a number from 1 to 100. Given some select hx selects the name's random number from 1 to 100, every time you calculate it, it takes 1 minute to calculate it. Say we are given a message M told to find a nuance such as HIMM outputs a number less than equal to the target. Since only 1/20th of the outputs will meet the target, it should take around 20 guesses of N to find out if the to find out if that one works. Hence, 20 minutes of compute time. I believe this is how why it takes confirmation, like 10 to 20 minutes of confirmation for the block to be discovered. Searching for successful nonce is called mining, and publishing that message with its nonce is a proof of work because it provides we found a useful nonce, even if we were lucky and found it with just one hash, or even blindly published a good nonce, which anyone can verify by computing. Now, say we have the hash function for generating proofs of work, HPOWEDR0M, where M is the maximum possibility output. Given a message M, a block of information, a nonce N to mine, and a target T, we can define and expect the average number of hashes to difficulty D like this. Some math. And N is acceptable. With smaller targets, the difficulty rises and it takes computer more and more hashes, therefore longer and longer periods of time to be useful nonce. Kind of like nodes. Mining speed, Monero blockchain. Okay, we're going to actually stop here because we're about 2 hours in. All right, guys. I know this is becoming like a 700-part series. But remember to like, share, and subscribe, and argue in the comments for the algorithm so that YouTube knows to promote Monero-based privacy, based open source, based security, and they will respect and love and enjoy, not an FBI honeypot. I will say that in the future, YouTube will no longer be here, only the blockchain, only Cumcoin. And I appreciate everyone stopping by, commenting, liking, and sharing, and also engaging in the conversation. Remember to join the Discord.